Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hang out with this nerd.
Ted.
NPCs in your Dungeons & Dragons game, long gone, but not forgotten.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter. Get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with us.
So we have another GM91, which you can find the original post in the description below. As well as if you have a GM91 for us, probably like this, you can send it to nerdarchy@gmail.com.
We also accept viewer suggestions, so yay.
And this one is from Joseph. He wants to know how to reintroduce forgotten NPCs into the campaign.
He's been DMing for only about 6 months. He's put a couple things out there. Players didn't bite, but he really likes some of the characters that he's created, and he needs help reintroducing them into the thing without just like, I'm just gonna shove this guy down your throat.
Yeah, so here's a couple things, right? Like, you can really just draw from real life experience on this one. Like, you're chilling, you're hanging out, you're doing whatever, and boom, there's someone you haven't seen in 20 years, and it's either it's like, oh cool, I miss this person, or oh fuck, why now? Like, there's literally this person that I grew up with, who was like the sister of one of my good friends growing up. I kind of grew up a little bit on the ghetto side and a little hoodish, so I really don't associate with a lot of those people anymore. But my wife runs into this person every time there's like a carnival or some kind of thing in town, and it's like, oh man, and it gets crazy too. Like, she's standing there talking with the Girl Scout troop leader, and this person walks up and like starts talking about Xanax or something crazy. You just don't know what they're gonna say, and you don't want to be around them when they start talking. So you just draw from real life experience and go, how have I ran into people that I haven't seen in a little bit?
Well, I mean, I was recently in the pet store, and somebody I went to school with, just walked right by, and I'm like, was that so and so? And I start thinking, and it was crazy. It was definitely that person.
And they're like trying to duck, and they're like, fuck, Ted knew me and recognized me.
You always find a way to put a jab in.
I got to.
But I mean, so it's literally things like that. So
wait a minute, did you tell me I'm kind of a big deal now, Nerdarchy Ted?
No. Although I did recently have my first non-convention.
Yeah,
spotting.
tell that story, because this stuff is relevant actually, guys. Even though it's not specifically D&D fantasy world, but this is how this shit happens.
All right, so I was literally shopping at a one of those box club stores, and there's the person that stands at the door to check your receipt to make sure that there's nothing in your cart that's not supposed to be there and whatever have you, and the guy's like, you look familiar. And I've got my hat on, and I'm, wearing nerdy gear and whatever have you. And, I'm like, well, who do you think I look like? And he literally is like, I can't really pinpoint it. So I'm like, well, I didn't want to just be like, well, I'm Nerdarchy Ted, Like,
I'm kind of a big deal,
Like, we don't have that many subscribers, and I've met a dozen or three people at conventions, but never in real life. So I'm just like, all right, well, I can't expect that this is the answer.
Do you go to virtual reality conventions?
No.
You just said in real life.
Well,
that is unlife. If you're in the con life, you're living the unlife.
I meant as opposed
your normal day to
day, as opposed to a convention where you have more nerdy people.
A gathering of nerds.
Gathering, yes. Yeah. So I'm like, all right.
That's funny when you explain it, though.
I know. Anyway, so I'm like, all right, well, do you happen to watch YouTube content for tabletop games? I didn't want to say role-playing, because I know there's several different connotations of that word. So
yeah, do not just Google role-playing. I'm warning you. Put games afterwards, preferably tabletop before.
So he's like, oh my, is that you? I'm like, yeah, and I kind of pointed.
He's like, oh!
No, I didn't make a big show of it or whatever, but I pointed to the hat, and yes, anybody can buy a Nerdarchy hat from our our store on our website, but it's like, yeah, I'm from Nerdarchy and whatever have you, and we had a quick conversation, and I found out that he's recently new to D&D, and that a friend and fellow coworker at the store pointed him towards Nerdarchy when he asked, like, hey, is there anyone else, or is there anywhere I can go to learn more about this, and he's like, well, there's this YouTube channel called Nerdarchy. You can check that out.
Yeah,
And
thank you, dude, that pointed the other dude
Alex.
in our direction.
So it was Alex from BJ's, and he pointed Matt from, from the same store, in our direction. So
how do you turn this into an encounter in your game? The wizard is shopping for more spell components at the local apothecary and runs into the tiefling wizard because he's shopping too. Boom, done. Maybe, and you can just describe him, and maybe they don't recognize him, but the tiefling, maybe strikes up a conversation. Hey, you look kind of familiar. Where might I know you from? I don't know. Here, have you ever been to the Abyss by chance? And they're like, oh, I have. What's up, man? Just like that, real life, it just happens. I did a thing in my Scarlet Sisterhood game, a little bit of a spoiler, but they were accosted by bandits, and the bandits were like, at first they're trying to rob them, and then they recognized them, and they're like, never mind, we heard about you guys. That's Agnetha Armbreaker. I'm out. And I just did it as like a little comic relief thing, but that's another instance of maybe the players or the characters wouldn't recognize the person, but now your players have gotten a little bit of prestige and fame, so other people are recognizing them by reputation.
And realistically, there are easy ways to get NPCs back into your story. Number one, if the PCs have gone on to actually achieve a little bit of fame, well, then the NPCs might be seeking them out because of said fame. If this person is also famous, perhaps they want to do something together and figure out what that might be. If this is a situation where there's a conversation that the NPC wants to happen, it could get maybe a little stalkery. Like, all right, well, I'm gonna hang out until that person acknowledges my presence, and you could just throw it out there in every time they're in town that, oh, you go to the blacksmith. Well, you know what? The tiefling's there, and he's talking to him about a dagger, or you just keep throwing it out there, and eventually the player's gonna be like, wow, I really need to figure out what's going on here.
But the other thing too is, one of the things Joseph brings up is he's like, I don't want to email them and remind them about NPCs or remind them in game or remind them outside of the game. But here's the thing, right? You can describe him, and part of that description literally could be, it's so and so you met before, and here's why you have to do that. One, this is a game where us as the DMs have to kind of be the senses for their characters. So just describing them isn't automatically going to put a face or name to that description. If you've already done that before, there is nothing wrong with doing it again, because the characters are not living. The characters live in the world, but the players do not. So the characters often have more information and are more in touch with that information than the players are. So you have to remember that. And it's okay to go, no, it's so-and-so, and just describe them again and reiterate what they looked like, how they knew them. You could do a quick thing. Another thing is, if you do recaps before you start your game and you want to introduce an NPC they haven't seen before, the recap doesn't have to be over what happened last session, or it could be over the campaign, right? And you just pick and choose things that have happened throughout.
And if you look at TV shows, that's exactly how they do their recaps.
Yes.
Is they're going to show you the things that happened previously that's important to this next hour's worth of storyline. Like, that's exactly how they do it. So there is no problem modeling that exact experience in your session recaps.
And if you're not doing for session recaps, you could start doing it. And just remember, it's not necessarily about what happened last session. It's about what's happened over the course of the campaign. And you can just pull out highlights that you think are going to be relevant to the session coming up.
So I look at this situation, and I see that, we have, as Dave was talking about, the characters are living, and we're just spending time with these characters. So when you have NPCs or when you have players at the table, they are here 3, 6, 8, 10 hours, and over the course of that time that you're playing, how much time in game is lapsing? could it be days, weeks, months,
Years.
it, technically it could be years. So during all of these time lapses that happen, real time is passing for those characters. They're going to have interactions that we just gloss over. When you're early in a campaign, oh, well, I want to go to the blacksmith and I'm going to barter and try to get a new weapon made and what have you. Well, as you get higher levels, oh, I'm going to run a blacksmith, I'm going to buy a sword, and it's glossed over because who wants to spend time spending 15 gold for a longsword? That's a standard fare. But when you're early levels, these are relationships that are building. These are interactions that could become important later, and as we see in the progression, that can happen.
Right, and it depends too. Like just like Ted said, how much information is getting dumped on them over what span of time, in game and out of game. Like we have campaigns we only play once a month, so like we have to rely on our notes a lot of times to remember stuff, and
I'm horrible at notes.
Right, so there might be an NPC that slips through easily, or other facts, or the other thing is you're gaming every single week, once, twice a week, whatever it is, for however many hours. You're cramming a lot of information in those period of time. So by the time a month is rolled by, you've got all these things flowing through your head as a player. And you're not a DM with everything scripted out and noted out.
You've data dumped by then.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Okay, well.
So there's that. So don't beat yourself up or your players up just because they didn't remember, Sam the Wizard, whatever. It's not a big deal. You just spend a little extra time. Boom, this guy. Again, look to your real life. We've given you some ways that, we've run into people or you could do it. And it's just working it into your game and having fun with it. Make the reintroducing your NPCs, make it fun. Like, the tiefling wizard reappears chasing a chicken across the road. What? Don't be afraid, to have fun with it.
Don't be afraid to be outlandish.
That's it, man.
All right. So what do you guys think? Do you do anything new, interesting, unique to reintroduce NPCs in your game? Got any cool stories you want to share? There's a great spot for that, and that's down below.
You can make a pack with Nerdarchy through Patreon.
So until next time, stay nerdy.